Okay, great. Well, again, my name is Kelly, one of the educators here with Bywater Solutions. I'm joined by two other educators. I have both Donna and Andrew, if they wouldn't mind saying hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And today, this afternoon, we are going to actually do a upgrade webinar module on the administration and report section of what's coming in the 1711 upgrade schedule. I am sharing my screen for the Bywater Solutions website, and I'll add this link to the chat. As I talk to you today, you do not have volume, unfortunately, added to your attendance. You can communicate to myself and the other educators today using either the chat or our Q&A box. The chat, you do have the ability to just speak directly to the education team or to everybody. If it is a question that is about what I'm talking about, please feel free to add the question to all attendees so everyone can see the question as I go ahead and answer it. You also can place your question in the question and answer portion of the Zoom. Maybe I'll call something out to raise your hand, but raising your hand, since we can't talk, doesn't really work unless I'm getting like, woohoo, it's Friday, but it's not, because that's what I woke up thinking today was a Friday. And I say raise your hand if anyone else did that. That would be a good way to do that. But again, I am happy to share a lot of the new features and enhancements with 1711. I have on my website the other webinars that we will be doing next week. We've done a full week of webinars. We started the week off with a What's New webinar, and I do have that recorded webinar here on the website. We also have done a OPAC and public user webinar, a technical services, and a circulation and patron this morning. So I've yet to update the circulation and patron upgrade portion, but I will put my recorded session there. You can see you do have a recorded webinar on these others. Now, we always like to offer multiple possibilities for these webinars, so there is an opportunity for you or a colleague to register for another upcoming webinar, and there is a registration link here. Below the registration and the recorded webinars, we actually have some question and answers from the previous webinars listed. I think if the question is going to be asked in one forum, we want to share that knowledge that maybe others are having it, or we found something out that was awesome that wasn't asked prior. So again, we do have some question and answers from the past webinars, and you're more than welcome to go here for any questions or answers. And again, this is what this is for, is to ask us questions and the functionality of the new Koha. I'm very excited for this. Speaking of the upgrade, all upgrades will begin in early June and will continue throughout the month. All upgrades will start after 8 o'clock your local time, and we again will populate your staff client. So we'll give you a little message over on the front page of your staff client, letting you know the date of your upgrade. And it's important to remember that next day that you are back in your library to go ahead and clear the cache on all the computers that use Koha, so you can see the full functionality of your new Koha. If you didn't know, we do have a demo site on our Bywater website, and you can go in there currently and actually play around with the 1711 version. Right on this main page of our website, we have a demo site. So that is on the 1711. You have both the opportunities to go to the OPAC and also on the staff interface with those login information. So it's a good way to play around if there was something you saw and you wanted to see the other functionality behind it, or you had questions after we left today and you wanted to try it out, please feel free. This data that is in the demo will be erased every 6 hours. So there's not much that you can worry about, losing any data. I did get a question. Yes, your browser's cache will need to be cleared once you have your upgrade. Correct. Okay, great. Now, I'm going to pop over to the staff client, and unfortunately this is not something I really can show you, but there has been a lot of progress in the accounts within Koha, so the fines and fees and payments that are linked on the patrons account. Prior to the 1711 release, there wasn't able to see the direct correlation between a credit and a charge, or a debit and a credit. You couldn't actually connect those. With the 1711 release, there is now the ability to track those payments and credits and kind of link them together. This is actually part of a process as we move forward. There is another bug in community to allow this connection to be seen on the staff client. Currently, this connection is more in the reports module or in the back end, but something that certainly can be reported on and will help those tickets that you send to Bywater to say, why does this person have a credit and they paid, and all those questions that is just really hard to be able to determine from the actual staff client. So this has a table within the schema that's called the account offset table, and this will be able to connect those payments and those credits, which is amazing. And this is just the beginning of being able to track that ability. I do have a report that was generated that will show this to you slightly. Again, this is not really something that's easily seen within my test site or on the staff client. It would require a report that was created. So if there's anyone in the room that is familiar with our reporting module or the schema itself, I'm going to show you how that happens. So I do have one here, and I'm going to show you, my screen is too big, I guess. I'm going to show you the report that was created. I'm going to show you that SQL. But you can see that I have the account offset table being brought into the mix of this SQL. So it's asking for those credits and those debits, and those will be linked on this report. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Thanks to Andrew who created this for me. Oh, I have to do a borrower number?
Do 48.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, great. Perfect. So you can see now I have the debit ID is going to be, you see this lost item has a debit ID of 74, and that connection 74 will be within that write-off. So that's where you can actually see the connection. You can't see it on the patrons account as you can't now, but you do have the ability to run reports from that account offset table to see this. So it is a step in the right direction. We do know that a lot of libraries need help when they're determining those account questions from the circulation staff. So this is a start. We have a question from George. Will this show linkage between account lines that have already been paid, or will it only show the links between debits and new credits? I am going to say that it's only going to be from going forward. I can double check for you to find out. Great. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that's a great new feature that will help with those tough accounting questions that we get at the circulation desk. A lot of the items that I talk about today will have to do with system preferences because this is part of the administration module. And there are some new system preferences I'll talk about, as well as just revised system preferences. So we do have the new ability of requiring a strong password within Koha. So that is a new system preference, and it's called Require Strong Password. And this will, if you turn it on, so it's something you would need to turn on within Koha. So you have the option of require, don't require, a strong password for staff and patrons. Now this requirement is telling you that if you turn this on, you would need 1 digit, 1 lowercase, and 1 uppercase. We had a question in another webinar about password length, and that is its own separate system preference called min password length, and you can set your password length to be as little as 3 to, I don't know, 10 maybe. I'm not sure if there's a maximum. Let's see if it says anything. If there's a maximum password length, that would be hard. 10 characters? So you can see here. Okay, I'm going to show you just in the area of maybe creating a new patron where you would see this require strong password represented. Once again, this is for all patrons and staff. This isn't something that will affect any users that have passwords currently set up in your Koha. It would only be going forward when you created new patrons or possibly change passwords. That would be what require strong password be touching. There was
Kelly?
a question. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you got it then.
There's a question about in a consortium. Yes, this is in the global system preferences. So this would be a all library decision for you to decide because it is in those global system preferences. Good question. Okay, if I go ahead and create a new patron, we're just going to go down to the password part of the screen. And here you can see it says minimum password length is set up. As soon as I start typing, I do get a red alert that tells me that this password needs to be 3 characters, which is coming from that system preference min password length. And then it's telling me I need an uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. So again, this feature does cover a lot of areas such as creating patrons, editing patron passwords, staff passwords. If you had the OPAC reset password turned on, when they reset their password, they would need to follow these rules, as well as if you used the change password on the OPAC, you would need to, that alert does show up for your patrons and staff as soon as they start typing. Do we have any questions about that? I don't know about you, I have a million passwords in my head. Sometimes I'm like, is this the one that I have to put an exclamation at the end of it? Now you're gonna know all my passwords, exclamation point, just I add an exclamation point. No? Okay. Okay, I'm going to go over to another system preference that does have to do with your cataloging department. Prior to the 1711 release, you could set a global system preference. So this was a system preference that would affect all the libraries within your branch system if you were part of a consortium. It was called MARC org code. Now, whatever MARC organizational code you had set up with your consortium, that's what you would fill in here. Now, there are so many consortiums around the country and probably around the world that would like to actually have their own items cataloged with their own MARC organizational code. So it would be consistent to say, this is my record and this is my cataloged record. So now there is the ability to use either this system preference solely, or you can set up within your libraries and groups a specific MARC organizational code per library. Now again, if there were 10 libraries in your branch system, but only 5 had their own, the other 5 could use that system preference one. That would be the default. But if they had their own MARC organizational code, you could set it up in this library field. They've added a new field for you that says MARC organizational code, and you would just go ahead and put that in there. Then, as you started to catalog, when you are logged in to the South Branch, that MARC organizational code will show up in the 003 field for you. So again, this would be something that you could have specific libraries, and then overall the default could be for the other libraries. This will also work within the authority record system. So if your system preferences are set up to auto create authorities, and those are being generated for you, as well as those biblio add authorities to allow, then again, that MARC organizational code will go from that library form into those authority records. So it's touching both your authority records and your cataloging records. Okay. Another feature I really can't show you as much because I don't have a Google authentication set up on my test side, but I'm going to go to the system preferences because there are 3 new system preferences that have to do with the Google authentication that you may have set up on your system. So with the new 17.11 release, there are 3 new system preferences that have to do with registration. So this enhancement will look, if a patron goes ahead and uses their email address and tries to log into the OPAC, but they're not a student, but they do have that Google authentication email, then it will allow them to register the patron to allow them access. So you would need to, if you wanted this to work, you would need to make sure that this system preference Google OpenID Connect Auto Register is set to allow. And then if it's set to allow, then you would give it a branch code and a category code for when this patron registers, what would you like them to be set up as. So again, this is allowing an unregistered patron to have their account created with this default branch and category to allow them to have access. So a great feature for those libraries that don't do a patron import, those academic libraries that don't do a patron import and they need to register their students at the library individually, but the student already has that email address that's set up through the school, they could go ahead and do it this way. So it's a great new feature. Okay, another system preference that we have is there is now a new system preference that allows you to add custom HTML to the self-checkout main block. So that new system preference is SCO main user block. So now this system preference allows you, if you are using the web-based self-checkout screen, within Koha, this will allow you to add some HTML and that will display on the self-checkout screen on your computer. I just really am so appreciative of how much that Koha can be customizable. So again, this is just adding that ability to really add your own look to the self-checkout module and giving that opportunity for libraries to do it, which is great. I love this. Okay, so we do have 2 more system preferences that have to do with replacement costs, a default replacement cost, and processing fees. So we have, let me just do replacement. Spell it correctly. We're better to will be better. Okay, so we have this use default replacement cost. So this is a new system preference that you can say use or don't use. Now, I'll show you where you can set up the default replacement costs in the item types. So we're going to go ahead and go to our administration. And in the basic parameters, we have item types. And there's been some new fields added to specific item types. So you can go into the item type, say CD, and you can say all CDs that are cataloged within my library have this default replacement cost. They're all going to be $60. Every time anything is lost, this default replacement cost would be charged to the patron. Now, if you went ahead and, well, I guess this is a CD, this is not an audio CD. If you had that live version of the Hamilton Broadway and you had paid so much money for this CD, you could individually, with that Hamilton CD, price that replacement at $100, and Koha would take the replacement cost on the item over this default replacement cost. However, if the item does not have a replacement cost, Koha would charge the patron the default replacement cost from the item type. Now, we had a question in one of our other webinars for if this is based for a consortium. Now, the system preference is global, use, don't use the default replacement costs. If the consortium is all using the same item types, then yes, it would need to be decided what that default replacement cost would be for all items. However, if your library put in their own replacement cost per item, then it wouldn't affect you. This is only going to put a replacement cost in items that don't have something in that replacement cost field in the item. Additionally, you can, I'm going to stop for a question because I knew one would come up. If an item has a default replacement cost, does that pre-fill when adding an item via Z39.50? It does not. Nope, this will just be used for when that item gets lost and will be charged to the patron. I know. As I'm saying it, Nancy, I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be great if that could happen? However, I know libraries have those base prices to say a book is $30. No matter what, you're going to be charged. So your circulation staff knows, oh, you lost this book, $30. But it would be nice, absolutely, to pre-populate that in there. Yeah, good question. I mean, it could be always put in as a enhancement request or a bug. But yeah, that would be nice. But good question. Now, in addition to that, we have a processing fee. So you could add a processing fee to a specific item type that will be charged again when the item is lost. So say those audiobooks or CDs, the packaging gets really expensive. So you could have maybe an $8 processing fee that would cover the binder and all those CD sleeves. This would charge to the patron when it was turned to lost. Now, this has a system preference attached to it as well. It's not a turn on or turn off system preference like the default replacement cost, but it allows you to add a note to the patron's account to say why they're getting this $8 charge on their bill. So you can go ahead and set a text to say what it's going to show up on the patron's account field. So then when they get their bill, they can see, oh, I got charged for losing that CD, and then I was charged for the cost of processing the item. So again, this is free text. You can go ahead and choose what you want to say. This is a flat processing fee note. It can't be specific to an item type. So you would just need to make it a very generic note for all items that have a processing fee. Now again, this is amazing. You can do it per item type. So some items may not need to be charged the processing fee and some do. So again, you would do that per item type. Yep. Can I please show an example of the note? Sure, absolutely. Let me see. I think maybe I have one. If not, we'll just change something to lost. I have default turned on. I just turned, what did I just turn $8 to? The CD? Okay. Let me see if I saved it though. Hold on one second. Let me go back just to double check my work. Audio. I have the processing fee on audio. Okay. And I have a replacement cost of $50. Now, I don't know if I showed you it was a free text and then I deleted that free text. So let me just make sure it's there. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Go find an audiobook. Oh, that's lost. Man, I need to pay my library bill. Okay. Let's see if that Audubon Birds, okay, this is a great example. Love it. So excited. This is the one I chose. So I'm going to just show you, let's see if it has a replacement cost already set up. It does. It has $18, okay? So it should charge me the $18 plus the $8. I'm going to go to the Items tab. I'm going to set this to lost. Oh, it says it right here too, replacement cost. Okay, go back to my normal view. Oh, I'm over the limit. I owe $36. So now I should have a payment note. Let's see, account. So here I have it on the account screen. I have that processing fee. I have the note, cost of the processing of the item, and then I have that lost, and it's $18. So it didn't charge me the default because there was a replacement cost in there. I did get charged the processing fee, and then I did get that note. Great. Perfect. Any other questions about that? So again, you would, if you were looking to do this, you would want to set up those default replacement costs as well as turn on that system preference. And then if you were doing a processing fee, you would set that up. And then if you wanted to change the text of what it said, you can certainly do that as well. Great. I should save this for the grand finale, but I'm so excited. I'm going to show it to you now. Within the Koha administration module, our circulation and fine rules have changed slightly to the better. We now, because we know how long the screen is, we now have actions in the beginning of the table as well as at the end of the table. So I don't know, let me make it smaller. I don't know about you. Let me make this smaller. I don't know about you, but I would always try to follow the line across to go, okay, it's this one, go all the way across, edit. Now, if I know which rule I'm editing, I have that action right in the beginning, right after that patron category and item type, which I'm so happy for. Yes, 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 I know, yes. This is like, it's a game changer. It's gonna help everybody so much. So this is definitely amazing. Yeah. Yes, thanks. It's fantastic. Yay. I'm getting lots of excitement. See, I knew it. I know, Nancy. I have no idea why it didn't do that. Nancy's saying, well, when you made it lost, it didn't check it in. I don't know why it didn't do that, because it should check it in. I don't think
that is a system preference to say whether or not it gets checked in when it goes to lost.
What is it? What is that?
No, I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, that's not. Well, why would it lost? What do you think? Lost. Let's just see lost. There it is. Mark lost items as returned, Nancy. So I had it as do not mark. Okay, let's try it again. Racking up some money here. I'm going to use the same one. Okay. Yep, there it goes. It is a system preference. That's amazing. There's only like 1 million system preferences. Somebody told me there was like 660 or something, which looking at these release notes, so now it's been taken off my account and I've been billed for more money. Unreal. That there were like 690 and I just don't believe them. If you look at the release notes, I'm going to scroll down. There's like 12 new ones and they only removed one. This is very convenient. I know. Absolutely. I love it. Everyone's still talking about the circulation and fine rule table. Okay. I did want to show you a few more system preferences because they're fabulous when you know where they are and you know what they do, especially when they add them, or in this case, they've reworded the system preference. So there is a system preference that determined where the shelving location was visible on the OPAC. So you could always have it, and that system preference was called OPAC location branch to display shelving. That has now changed to OPAC location on detail. Prior to the 17, I'm gonna show you what it looked like. Prior to the 1711 release, your shelving location let's see, let me go to my account, was found either under the home library, under the holding library, or both. And that's what that system preference was used for, OPAC branch, location branch to display shelving. So you can see I have that shelving location of display under my holding library right here. Now, you guys are, if you thought circulation was exciting, now you have a new option of saying, hey, I'd like my shelving location in a separate column. What? No way. This is not happening. This is amazing because I think it was very hard for our patrons to know, what does that mean when you have something underneath the library in italics? Does that really help a patron? So now if you choose to have it in a separate column, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen. You can now see it in its own column. Now, the first step, if this is what you want to see on your OPAC, is changing that system preference, but also you need to change your configuration of your columns, which is found in administration. Way at the bottom, you have configure columns. Previously to the 1711 release, you could not configure your OPAC columns. Now you can. So I have a new tab for OPAC. And if you ever want to hide anything, you could hide it. But this will be hidden by default when you get the new 1711. This is something you want to do. You would come into your configure columns and you would unclick it so it could be seen. I know from another webinar,
Heather is very excited about its own columns.
I know. I'm glad. Sometimes it's hard for me just like being so excited and everyone's like muted. So yay. So again, we brought this up in the What's New webinar, and there are libraries that have like JavaScript to do something similar to this. You don't need any of that. You have your own OPAC tables. Yay. You can hide certain things, and you can make that shelving location in its own column, which makes so much sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's, woo, yes, so excited. So that's a double whammy. You have a new column configuration for the OPAC, and then you have your shelving location. You can decide where it goes. Yay, yay, yay. George has seen this like 4 times, and he's like, I'm still so happy. This is amazing. This is great. Another new, this is more focused on the reporting section of your system. You have the patrons registration date enrolled is what it's called in the borrower's log. And previous to the 1711 release, you had a hard time finding when they actually renewed their card. It was kind of hidden. It was logged in the borrower's logs, but if you didn't have the borrower's log turned on, you couldn't actually track that down. Now they have added date renewed to the borrower's table. So now you can run a report to see when a patron has renewed their card, which is so helpful for all those reports that you need to run for your board of directors or your town or your dean that can tell you when somebody renewed their card. I have I did this one by myself. I created a report. It's as crude as they get, but I wanted to show you, again, anyone can write a report, even me, using just the knowledge that this date renewed field is in the borrower's log. You could write that report. So I'm going to go ahead and find it and show you. Patrons with date renewed. I'm going to show you what I created in my SQL. So you can see I'm just asking for the first name, last name, the date enrolled, and then I had date renewed, and then the card number. Of course, you could add any other information for whatever you need for that report. And then I said I'm going to grab that from the borrower's table. I put in a range of dates. You may not need to, if you didn't need to know that you wanted to look at everybody. Now, a question was brought up this morning from a partner who wanted to know if this would track if a renewal date was edited, and it won't. It only will track when that actual date was renewed. So that renew patron button that you press. So I ran the report. I can see the first name, last name, the date enrolled, and when they renewed. Amazing. It's going to be great. It's now visible in this column. Awesome. This one I repeated. Okay. Another change in an existing system preference. Sorry, I guess I should have done the report at the end, but another change to an existing system preference is for the card number. So previously to 1711, the card number could only be up to 16 characters, and per demand of Koha users. They said, we want more. And Koha said, okay, we'll give you 32. So now you have that maximum number of 32. So we pretty much doubled it. And you have that ability. Now, I don't have a requirement, but if you wanted to add a number, you could certainly do that. So again, this borrower card number has increased. There was a deleted system preference that you guys can all cry later. It's called OPAC. I can't even show you. I don't know what I'm typing. OPAC show barcode, because we don't need the system preference to show the barcode or not show the barcode in the OPAC. Does anyone want to guess why? So it was called, I'll type it in here, OPAC show barcode. So now we don't need this system preference. Oh, I got one. I think somebody's going to call it out. Columns, yes. So George got it. You don't need a system preference to say, hey, can I show the barcode or can I not show the barcode in the OPAC? Because now you have the ability in the columns. I love when we remove system preferences instead of add system preferences. So now you can go ahead and say, yes, show the barcode, or don't show the barcode in the OPAC. There you go. It's hidden already. We talked about that one that is that the system preference that changed. And then we also talked about, I do have one more system preference that is brand new. And if you weren't here for OPAC, you may not have seen it. It's called OPAC user summary. The system preference says use or don't use the OPAC user summary. And if anyone is here that was here on the first day, there was some discussion about if they had information in the OPAC where this would lie, what would happen? So I have an answer for that. So I have OPAC user summary, show, don't show. So I have show. When a user is logged into the Koha OPAC, there is now a little box that gives them a nice little view of their summary. So you can see I owe a lot of money in fines and charges. I have a hold, waiting, pending. I have 3 checkouts. So that's awesome. I went ahead and grabbed some information from I took away some of our JavaScript and I put in some others for the OPAC user JS to see what would happen. I put it in the OPAC nav right system preference, and it looks like it just pushes it down if you do want that OPAC user summary. So you can have both the OPAC user summary, or you could have, and you could have what else you have in that system preference of OPAC user JS, and it just kind of makes it all work together. So that's a great thing. Is this global? We have a question if this is global. Oh, we don't know. I know, perfect. Oh, was it you, Barbara? Great. Okay, so I did answer, Barbara, your question from the other day. Perfect. Column configuration is a global system preference. Yep. It would be for everybody. Okay. Great. That about covers what I wanted to show you today in the administration and reporting modules of Koha. Hopefully you made lots of notes to know what system preferences you hope to have turned on your system, or you can go to your consortium board and discuss why you think that those would be good if you're part of a branch system. But again, there is, I just love the fact that it just continues to improve and listens to the librarians when they say, wouldn't it be great if? So you could see that that's happening with every update and release within Koha. And I hope everyone continues to make comments on Bugzilla to continue that growth of Koha to make it to make it better and better each time. George, No significant changes in reports. I feel like 1705 was a lot of changes, and I'm kind of glad that we didn't get a lot this time. You know, we had that whole Mark XML report thing that did cause a lot of reports to need to be adjusted. So there is no other changes to note for reports. Yes, I did notice the JSON column as well. I don't know if that has always been there, I believe. I think it's just visible on my site. However, I don't know, I'm going to show everybody what George is talking about. I don't know if that is a system preference that you can turn it on or turn it off. Certainly, let me just show you. Let me go to my use save. I did notice this the last day, and I don't know. This is, this column's new, but maybe it was just something that you couldn't visualize before. I don't know. I can find out for you.
Okay, and Kelly, we have a question from Joseph. He'd like to know, how can he map MARC fields to table columns when creating SQL? And is there a place to see the Mariah table columns and the MARC relations?
So Joseph, do you mean you just want to get MARC data to show up in your report results? That's what I'm taking your question to mean. And there is a section on the Koha reports library page that talks through how to do that.
Okay, I'm going to pull that up.
Right in that tips section, there's one query MARC 1.1.3.
I'm clicking it. Doesn't look like I'm clicking it. It's got to load the page for a second. Give me a second. Thanks, Andrew.
And that the wiki there gives the bare bones explanation of that. If you have any more questions about it, I would say open a ticket. It gets a little bit complicated, but not terribly so.
No. I'm so glad that they are reworking this Koha report library because it's gotten so big. Let me try again. It's literally too big for its britches. There's so much information in this Koha wiki page for reports. Anyways, this is where you'd find it, Joseph, and Andrew's absolutely correct. There's a lot of information on this wiki page. If you do need help creating a report, please submit a ticket. We have amazing report writers that could certainly help you or point you in the right direction if you wanted to do it yourself. Yep.
And George has an update. He says he's looking at his test server and configure columns is set up for reports now. That explains the JSON column in the reports module.
Which could, oh, the reports there. Ah. Which one would it be? I don't have that in my reports. Config columns is set up for reports now. But I don't see the JSON. Let's go back. It's called URL. Well, if George figured it out. Oops. Am I just missing it? Could be going crazy. I know.
Yeah, George doesn't see it, and neither do I. So there's three of us that don't see it.
I thought you said you saw. Oh, I think he just thought that because there is a configure columns. I'll find out for you, and we'll talk about it at our next one, and I'll put that as a question and answer because it would be great to know. Yeah, definitely. Oh, he has jQuery written to hide it. So it's always been there. It's just for whatever reason, we don't have that fancy jQuery to hide it either. It's not definitely something that a lot of libraries even need to be able to see or use, or will use it. So again, it's...
No, he just wrote it.
Oh.
So we'll have to see if George would be willing to share.
Crazy. This is... I know, and he told me he's not going to be here next week, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But I feel like always the first few webinars, we do get the hardest questions, and then we already know all the answers people are going to ask the next week, or my hope is. But you, all the partners and library users of Koha see Koha in a different way, depending on what they do each day. So the questions are great, so we can see it from different angles and uses. So I appreciate it so much.